because it is 9:50. Are you sending Tyler's minimizing the noise?
Gotta make sure my phone's on silent. Sorry.
Listen, guys, I'm telling you, it would not be me being back if I didn't have notifications going off.
Of course.
This is literally the reason I have a smartwatch, a hybrid smartwatch, is I leave my phone on silent and my wrist goes whenever someone wants me. This is why I do this.
Yes.
I don't want anything making noise. Because when I'm away from the house and I don't have a 7-year-old asking me the questions of the universe, I don't want noise. Mm-hmm. So often I drive to and from work in utter silence. I can just hear the gears change in my transmission. That's all I want to hear.
That's all you want to hear. And so that's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch, on the YouTubes of the 280-character app. Don't forget, you go and use the code SOCCERDOWNHERE15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it into the Youth Games, Youth Initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right, so here's the question to ease Tyler into the segment. Well, might be more of a statement. How many of you knew, show of hands, that Red Lobster is closing 48 restaurants because of financial troubles with the chain? Show of hands. Wow.
Is it because they deal in seafood and has a higher cost, I'm assuming? And I don't know, man. Maybe unlimited shrimp wasn't your best idea.
Yeah.
But the cheese biscuits, though.
And
the cheese biscuits are, yes, the cheese biscuits, though, is the correct answer.
Yes. They pushed, Red Lobster, according to Newsweek, has been struggling for years with declining sales and profit, reporting a loss of more than $11 million in the third quarter of 2023. So basically, Lionel Messi's yearly salary, according to Restaurant Business, after pushing its ultimate endless shrimp as a fixed offer on its regular menu for $20.
Was it fake that Chili's is going away? Because if this is real, I might cry.
I don't know.
I thought I had saw somewhere that Chili's is they're going away. Okay. And I'm like, this would be the worst news of my life.
Hang on. Efforting.
They did it with O'Charlie's.
Yeah.
O'Charlie's disappeared on us.
Yeah.
At least most of them.
Charlie's just kind of got snapped though. O'Charlie's just kind of stumbled around for a minute, then turned to dust.
Yeah.
Okay. So something called Spoon University is asking Maddie's question: is Chili's Grill and Bar really closing? The answer is complicated. So it's complicated on Facebook.
Yo, it's the cheapest.
I'm assuming there's probably still Applebee's, right?
Yes, there are.
Hey, Applebee's is giving away dollar margaritas right now.
Chili's was quick to alleviate concerns, responding, "No, we'll be here forever!" Exclamation point. So basically, some locations are closing. Fort Wayne, Indiana, St. Joe's, Missouri, Charlotte, North Carolina. Last year, Brinker International, the owner of Chili's Bar and Grill, permanently closed 16 locations that were, quote, performing below our standards that were near or at the expiration of their lease terms. So aside from the standalone locations, Chili's, including other popular chains like Applebee's and Ruby Tuesdays, in malls will also close and be replaced with newer eateries due to the boom in smaller and regional restaurant chains with a local following, according to CNN. Lazy Dog, Gen Korean Barbecue, and Postino Wine Cafe are supposed to be drawing customers back to the malls. Franchise is still up and running, so, Maddie, you will still have your baby back ribs.
Oh, listen, that's all I wanted. It's been my saving grace when I need a cheap meal, so I would have cried.
Hey, look, I saw when we were in Jefferson for the tour for the matches of the week, a Beef O'Brady's in Jefferson, Georgia, around the corner from the high school stadium complex. So Beef O'Brady's actually exist in the state of Georgia, and one of them is in Jefferson.
I couldn't tell you the last place I saw one of that. It had to be in Florida,
mm-hmm.
in a weird place like Ocala or something.
Yes, somewhere that's not major city based. So,
or it's just outside. It's suspiciously outside of a major city. We weren't allowed to put this in Tampa, so we went to the unincorporated area and squeezed it in.
Yeah. the area a couple exits up on the freeway. You make the turn on 75, and it's just right there before you get into the city limits is where it is. So now that we've had the incredibly insightful discussion about eateries and such, Tyler, I know that the response has been fairly heated on Scarves and Spikes and about what has happened over the last handful of matches. Have you had time to digest all of the different opinions as we get into a match day midweek here and a midweek whip around setup?
I don't know that I'll ever be able to digest all of the opinions, but for the most part, yeah, it's like when you eat ribs. Speaking of ribs,
Attaboy.
you know, and you get the tender part, but then there's that one part that just is a little chewy. And that's where I'm at. That chewy part, it tastes really good at times, but then you're like, I shouldn't be eating this. And that's how I feel about taking in some of these opinions from everybody.
Maddie, since you're back, Maddie, since you're back, first question for Tyler.
I get the honors. This is awesome.
It's chivalry and a return for a graduate. I mean, come on now. There are several things in play here.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you know, from seeing the response, at least on Monday, in the media getting the chance to talk to Pineda and Lennon, what was sort of what were you seeing when you were there? What was the energy like leading up to this matchup, and also to not just this matchup, but the double match day week that we do have for this team?
I mean, I think, you know, this is one of those times where you have a club that's just, you're struggling, and it feels like no matter what you do, you're just not doing the right thing, right? And, you know, Pineda he's in a tough spot. He really is. And I feel for the guy. I really do, because it doesn't matter your opinion, you know, fans' opinion on whether you think it's his fault or whether you think it's the player's fault or whose fault it is or whatever. Maybe it's just some cosmic problem that's just not able to be fixed right now. But like, he's going to take the brunt of it, and it sucks. And I think you can kind of see it. It's weighing on him, I think, a little bit, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
But that's part of the head coaching job. And I hate to always go back to that, but that you're going to be the fall guy at times. You're going to be the genius when it works right, and you're going to be the fall guy when it doesn't. I think this may be one of those moments where it's beneficial again to just get right back to it, to change things up a little bit, to kind of just pull your boots back on and get back out, because it was mentioned a couple of matches ago, right? Like where the guys were saying before the Open Cup match, you had a very quick turnaround. And sometimes that's the best thing that you can have, because you don't have time to think about things and dwell on the issues and all. Sometimes the best thing is to just get back out on the pitch. And, you know, it sucks, because this is maybe like very suboptimal, considering you're going to the Supporter Shield winners and you're playing away, and
suboptimal.
Yeah, you can't, you're not winning at home, and now you're expected to hopefully go up and win in a place that's not going to be easy. So, you know, I mean, if you're being honest, like there's definitely, I think, some, I don't want to call it pessimism, because it's not that. I think it's just everybody's a little downtrodden, but there's still hope. It's not like everybody's just given up and thrown the flag in. So you just, if you're a fan, you just have to go into this one tonight and hope that they can take things back a step and look from 30,000 feet and fix whatever issue that they can identify that's causing a problem, and be competitive tonight. That's the biggest thing.
Jarrett, go for it.
Well, first of all, to Dell raising this point, because I may not be here to yell about it later. Waiting is one of the greatest cinematic adventures of the last 20 years. It's also one of the best depictions of working in a restaurant, but it is very time locked in the early mid-aughts. So just be aware.
Okay.
That is very locked. It's a very 2005 movie. I digress. I guess to this game tonight. I guess, Tyler, if you know, let's say we get wild, we break in and we give you the team sheet. What are you doing tonight? Do you take any risks with your setup? Do you kind of get a little wild with it to in the sense of kind of I need to get this turned around. Do I make any risky moves, or what do you do?
I wouldn't probably play with the starting team sheet too much, but I would get weird at halftime for sure. I think like if things are not going right, you don't have anything to lose at
And
halftime.
You're also on a double match week.
Right. Yeah, and you're gonna have to make changes anyway. And I mean, I think maybe there's an argument like, well, since he's gonna be the harder match, you have a better chance of going to Nashville and getting something, which is true, but like you you have to win games at this point. Like you've really thrown away some really good opportunities, unfortunately, over the past, 3 or 4, the 3 at home, obviously. So yeah, I mean, I think you just have to go into it with your whatever you consider your starting 11, your prime starting 11. I think having Stian Gregerson back is going to be a big deal. But overall, it's just I could see some weirdness. I would like to see some weirdness coming in at the half. And, in this last match, you saw a little bit of it, I think, and not weirdness in like we have, Edwin Mosquera playing as striker or something, but like you got some kind of oddball formations when the subs started coming in the second half. You had Thiago Almada moving over to the left. You had 2 strikers at one point. I mean, Pineda was trying to do something to spark something. And, right whenever he made the change for Dax McCarty to come in and pushed Almada to the left, you end up getting the fluky goal from Saba. So like those little things can catch a team off guard. You're going to have to make the changes anyway at the half. So I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out and just tries to throw a huge wrench into whatever it is since he's trying to plan for.
You just take the workbench at this point and you just kind of sit there and you go, wee, and see what happens.
Just tell them all to go play soccer and see what happens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what we've always said, is that formations are just a loose construct. It is a graphic for televisions because when when the whistle goes and the ball is kicked, then things are decidedly a little different. Laurel Failer is reporting that yesterday, DeAndre Yedlin, Alvis Powell, Corey Baird not in training Tuesday for the final on-field session. Pat Noonan said Yedlin likely out for the midweek match, but could be ready to go for Saturday's game against All Caps. Continues to recover from a hip injury suffered April 27 against the Purple team, followed by a flare-up at the Purple team on May 4. Did not dress for last week's match against Columbus. Alvis Powell's nursing a hamstring injury that sidelined him in the 13th minute of Hell is Real. Corey Baird not in training. Monday, following Noonan's presser, not seen on the fields at the training ground. Tuesday, during the portion open to the media. No one else was missing outside of Aaron Bupenza, who continues to recover from jaw surgery, and FC Cincinnati 2 player Nico Benalcazar was in first team training on Tuesday as well. I guess Aaron should learn that nothing good ever happens after 1 a.m. when you're outside, but that's just me.
Especially when it involves fighting a fighter.
This is, it's like, you want Italian food and you're hanging out at the Italian restaurant after 1 a.m. It turns to 2 a.m. The place is closing. And then all of a sudden you have a disagreement with a boxer, which is
a boxer.
Uh-huh.
Like you couldn't have I don't know, picked another guy to try.
Not a good combination.
No, not a good combination at all.
You're going to throw hands with.
Never pick
maybe not a boxer
who knows how to throw a punch.
Correct.
There's an art to it.
Exactly.
Never throw hands with someone who knows how to throw hands is basically what we're saying.
It's true.
So in reading that report having to do with FCC, as Jarrett does the Irish goodbye, it looks like there are some opportunities to attack the back line for Atlanta United. And but once again, it comes down to the question on the left because of DeAndre Yedlin. If Yedlin is not in this particular match, what does it look like down the left-hand side? How many minutes can Shande give you to start? Is it a 60-30 kind of a deal? What does it look like? And so I think opportunities are there against this back line. But as you said, you're in a double match week. You got to figure out what your lineup is. And so I think that because of things being in the midweek what they are, I think that there's an opportunity here for Atlanta United because of the absences.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the only asterisk that you would add next to that entire statement is the fact that they still have Miles Robinson and Matt Miazga, which sucks. But
just get under Miazga's skin.
Yes, I would love to see Giacomakis just piss him off, because he did it. He did it last year in the better match that Atlanta had against Cincinnati. After just the first match got just utterly destroyed. It was not a good day. So I think there needs to be some attitude from the team as a whole, right? I think, not to get off on that tangent, but like, this isn't just on Pineda, it's on players too. Like, the players have to execute. It's the whole club right now is having a tough go. Whatever. I'm not here to put blame necessarily. But people need to step up. The players on the field have to step up and show a little bit more about what they are. And that some of the players have it. Like, we've seen Giacomakis. We see the passion that he has every week. Again, I think Stian Gregerson being back is going to be huge. Brooks Lennon, I think he needs to have a game where he I think gets back on track. So, but as far as the injuries to Cincinnati, yeah, I mean, Yedlin being out, Yedlin has low-key been, well, maybe not low-key. I'll say low-key. He's low-key been really good for Cincinnati after, I thought he was pretty good in Miami, but they seemed to think he wasn't. But also
that was an AM deal.
Right.
Getting rid of a high-priced AM player, they kind of had to bring in the other players so they can be under the cap.
Yeah, and he also never played for Barcelona at any point, so he had that going against him too.
The Gulfstream Galacticos, yes, that is definitely a difference there.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think looking at the roster though, like, yeah, Atlanta has opportunities. The one concern, I think, and I think people maybe have been blowing it out of proportion, is their new striker, Kelsey. I think he had a really good game in a really big match for them, and now he can do no wrong. So
what? Overreacting on a Monday? What?
We've made it to Wednesday. I'm trying to bring the overreaction down a little bit. No, but I think on the other side of the pitch, he's one that you're going to have to be careful of, because you're going to have Acosta to deal with. And now you've got somebody who maybe can actually be there to be the physical presence that they've been missing since Brandon Vasquez left.
Matty Cruz for Tyler Pilgrim from @Scarves and Spikes. Go for it.
I mean, looking at the way Cincinnati plays, we kind of talked about it a little bit when they came here earlier, but they play a very similar style to Philadelphia, a little bit less of what a Philadelphia team does, as we are well aware.
A little less floppy.
Yes. Listen,
it's more hard disk than floppy.
Along with Jason, I'm gonna keep my thoughts to myself about Philadelphia, but it's okay. It's okay.
I don't.
Listen, I'm trying. It's my first show back. I'm trying to ease back into it, guys. I'm trying to feel it. But I mean, with that playing style, and especially with how Atlanta, like, just needing to get that momentum back, do you think this might be a good game to maybe see where that momentum can come from United, and see, like, okay, we're going back to a team we know how they play? Do you think that might be a process of thinking of how they're going to come back and combat them in tonight's match?
Yeah, you have honestly a really good opportunity in terms of maybe some things going for you. Again, we talked about, the injury situation, but they're also coming off a really, really big time emotional game in Hell is Real.
Yep.
And it was away. And I know from talking to people that were there, like, lower.com field did not make it fun at all for Cincinnati. So they never do, but especially when it comes to that derby. So you go into this match, again, like you said, how they play, and how they play, they're going to try to take it out to the wings, and then they're going to try to get Kelsey, Lucho involved kind of in the middle, because that's where the goals come from. But they like to build up on the wings, just like Atlanta does. And I think it's going to come down to who's playing the cleaner game, who's playing the more effective game, and who doesn't make the silly mistakes. And I think for me, that's the biggest thing that I want to see out of Atlanta, is just keep it simple. Like, don't try to do too much, especially away. Don't try to do too much. You need to go into the match, play fundamental soccer, play your game, but play it fundamentally, play it cleanly, and just be switched on for the entire 90 minutes. And you do that, And you can score goals against this team. It's just a matter of keeping, Acosta on lock.
I feel like too, like one thing that I, at least from watching some other MLS squads like play throughout the past couple weeks, is one thing that Atlanta I think does really well, especially this year, is how they are able to play kind of up in the center of the field, especially with Almada, with Sleesh, and Moyumba. I feel like that they're a good catalyst there. And so I feel like that could be something we see a little bit more of in this match, especially with you're going to have those players. You're going to have Cincinnati really targeting the wings. So then maybe that might be an opportunity for United to branch out and try something a little bit more centrally, because I feel like that's where a lot of the best work has been really from Sleesh, from Almada, really just absolutely going crazy. Listen, Almada is absolutely nuts. And I will say this, I'll watch him do footwork stuff and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, you're not real. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's just my little tangent. But
that's his street ball.
Listen, but yeah.
I agree. I think you saw a little bit of it in the first match. Like Atlanta had space in the middle. And for all the gripes and complaints that everybody had over the past 2 years about the midfield, like the midfield is better. I would like to see Tristan Miyamba. I'm not calling him out, but I feel like he's maybe not had his best stretch of games either. Nobody has.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, you mentioned Muyumba. This stretch, you have not had your best from Brooks. You've not had your best from Gigi. You've not had your best from Saba, and you've had the injuries to go with all of this. So yeah, not your best run, not your best run, not your best run, not your best run, and to have that many players in a row currently not having their best run, that's. I mean, I cannot remember a stretch where you've had all of your higher profile players, DP or otherwise, who have just been on the schneid and been not been able to put the ball in the net.
Yeah. And it's a struggle. And I think that's where, the whole conversation again of like, whose fault is it that always comes up? Like, it's not there's no easy way to just put your finger on it. But I think, again, that's why I say, like, it's sometimes better to just take a step back and go back to just playing the game, like play soccer. Don't go out there with too many things in your head in terms of tactics and formations and those false constructs and whatever else. Like, there is one goal in soccer, and it's to move the ball up the field and put it in the back of the net. I know that sounds so easy, but when you play against a team like Cincinnati, that we know that they're going to play out wide for most of the pitch, and then they're going to try to push it back in with Lucho, maybe with their wingers a little bit. But that's going to leave you tons of space in midfield, like Maddie was saying. And if you can play some clean soccer through the midfield and not force Almada to feel like he has to drop way back just to get on the ball, you're going to have opportunities. You're going to have opportunities that you can absolutely take advantage of.
Here's Cincinnati to this point of the season. And you'll notice that there is a ceiling when it comes to the number of goals allowed in a match. From the beginning, and I'm going to take out the Triple C and the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza and all those kinds of things. Goalless draw with Toronto. 2-1 win over Chicago. Goalless draw with DC. 2-1 win over New England. Of course, everybody does that. 1-0 win at TQL against NYC. Draw with Charlotte 1-1. Lost to Red Bulls at TQL 2-1. Lost to Montreal at Stade Saputo 2-1. Won here 2-1. Beat Colorado 2-1. Beat Orlando 1-0. Beat Columbus 2-1, and that's where we are. You notice that I didn't say a number over 2 when it came
or any number that was separated by more than 1.
Mm-hmm. So this is going to be a tight one. Under normal circumstances, these matches that FC Cincinnati plays are tight, and it is coming down to being clinical and taking advantage of mistakes that the other team makes. So if you're looking for something high scoring, don't bank on it. It's going to be a grinder for 90 minutes, and basically it turns into one of those staring contests where Pat Noonan et al. Want to sit there and it's like, okay, we're going to do this for 90 minutes. We're going to do our thing. You're going to do your thing, and we'll see who comes out of the phone booth at the end of 90 minutes with the better way. They can be had. It will be tight. You have to be clinical, all of these things that we continue to say about Atlanta United in these matches going up against competition that's higher than you in the standings. That's just how I think this is going to play out again against FC Cincinnati.
Yeah. Talking with some of the Cincinnati folks and the Cincinnati Soccer Talk podcast guys, like we chatted with them a couple of days ago, and even they are kind of in that boat of what I said a minute ago. Like they're coming off a really emotional game, right? Like a big derby.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest, I think, unknown is Kevin Kelsey. He's the new guy. He could come good for them in a lot of ways. He did in that match, but also like he's still new. You never know if that's a one-time thing. You never know what you're going to get out of a new guy.
He's the pitcher that you brought up from AAA that you don't have a book on.
Yeah, exactly. Like it could go great. He could be the hero, or it could go really bad and things, at least it's a striker. So like any defensive mistakes aren't that big of a deal. But if you can keep him away from the back of the net, keep him away from the box, put him in low percentage situations, they don't have another guy that's going to do much other than Acosta. But Acosta, you already know Slish is going to be all over him. For the most part in the last match, they did a good job handling him, but he's one of those, if you give an inch, he's going to take a mile. So yeah, it's going to be a grind, and it's going to be whatever team makes that first mistake. And again, this is the third time I've said it this morning, but if you're Atlanta, you have to just take a step back and just play simple. Don't give yourself a bigger possibility of making mistakes because you get caught out of position. You're trying to do too much. You know how Cincy's going to play. You don't have to overthink it and how you're going to move the ball up the pitch. You just have to do it. You've got the talent to do it. They're not going to be high pressing you like crazy. They're not the Red Bulls. They're not going to be flopping like Philly every 5 minutes to slow the game down. They're going to play a similar style that you play, and it's just going to come down to who actually has the better touches on the ball.
At ATL Pilgrim, at Scarves, and Spikes hanging out with us for his normal Wednesday visit. I forgot to ask, what's the mug and what's in it?
Nothing special today. The cup mug. So Scarves and Spikes.
Okay, so you're straight pimping. All right, nothing wrong with that. I get it.
And it's Colombian Supremo.
Okay, just checking. Yeah, because I normally do that at the beginning of the segment, but since we got into the Red Lobster discussion, I felt like
which was important. It was important.
I mean, that's when you're in that opening kickoff zone, and we're trying to figure out what to talk about. Then there are those things that are the world-shattering events that we have to get in an opening kickoff, the deferred question about the mug and what's in it. Until 9:45, basically. It's because we're on such a roll. Maddie, what's up next on your mind for Tyler Pilgrim?
Oh, I mean, I think talking a little bit about the double match day week, it's a little different because, we're having all of these games played tonight, and then you have only a couple of games played on Saturday. How do you think the team is really going to respond, and who do you think is going to really step up in these moments? Because I feel like this happens a little bit with teams when you have these double match days. You have players maybe from that second team or players who've maybe sat on the bench a little bit. They might get their opportunity to really come in. Do you think that there's anyone who's going to maybe come off the bench or maybe come up from the twos that might have a good impact for United?
Yeah, I think, this is a moment that it kind of really, really sucks that you're missing a guy like Tyler Wolff, right? You're getting Shonday back from injury, and hopefully he can give you the time. But other than that, I think you might have to get a little creative with some of these positions, specifically that left wing side. But to answer your question, you're going into two very, very quick back-to-back matches. And of course you got the Open Cup coming up and everything else. So I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see some call-ups maybe for Nashville if it were to happen.
I'll give you one.
Luke
Brennan.
Yeah.
Because if in some combination of these 3 matches in 6 days, basically, and then 4 in 2 weeks, if you want to continue to reinforce bringing in someone who is going to come in off the bench and run at tired legs,
Yep.
Then what you do, say, at some point, not knowing how many minutes Shande Silva can give you, still getting him to full song and get him to 90 minutes fit. If it's something like Shande Gigi Saba, and then it's 60, you bring in Luke and let Saba float basically off to the left, or do something akin to that, to where you might want to have Saba on the left, you bring in Luke Brennan on the right, and so you've got the opportunity to have Edwin run for 30 minutes. You've got the opportunity to have Luke run for 30 minutes, however you feel it can go. If it's Shande and Edwin, if it's Saba and Luke, whatever combination you're thinking of while you're looking at the injury to Tyler Wolf for the next couple of weeks, I think that with Luke and Edwin running at tired legs over this next week, knowing that you've got Open Cup coming around the corner down in Charleston, it does present some interesting options for you because of what you have in your hip pocket.
Yeah. Luke Brennan, I just feel like the moment he gets like his true opportunity in first team play, and when I say true opportunity, I mean even whether it's a start or significant time. Like, I'm not talking about last year when him and Nick Firmino came on. Firmino scored the goal against New York. Like, that was great, but that was not that was just to see out the game.
Yeah.
I want to see Luke Brennan, in the bins or whatever, wherever with the first team, getting actual MLS first team minutes, because I think he'll do well. And I think he'll take people by surprise because, like you said, he's so direct. The only other alternative that I could see maybe against Nashville, maybe it wouldn't make as much sense against Nashville, but you play kind of a 5-3-2 or something where you have 3 actual center backs. So now that you've got Stian back, you have Luis Abram, you have Noah Cobb, and then you can bring in, let's see, who could you bring in? Ronald Hernandez on the left as a fullback, and then of course Brooks Lennon on the right, because Brooks will never stop running anyway. And then you push Caleb up and let Caleb kind of be unchained and not have to worry as much about defense, because he was a winger. He wasn't a wing back originally. And I think it might give him that, because they did it in the Open Cup. They did it against Charlotte. And I understand the difference in, the league play and all that kind of stuff. But I think it might be good for Caleb to just get some minutes to where he doesn't have to be looking over his shoulder every 5 seconds, trying to worry about, his positioning on defense and everything else. Let him be the unchained, 19-year-old, 18-year-old kid that can just run at people directly. And if he makes a mistake, whatever, he's still got, 2 or 3 guys right behind him. And that also gives you the opportunity to rest some of your midfield who are going to be running, 7 or 8 miles in the match tonight.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, if you line up in your standard 4-3-3 and you let Caleb run, then, as one goes forward, one stays behind. And so that to me means that as I sit here and use since I don't have the dry erase board or do whiteboard chronicles or anything like that. So if Caleb runs, then you have Luis or whomever who is your left center back. He rolls over. Then Bart or whomever your 6 is drops in. And then you end up with those 4 at the back, or those 3 at the back, and then Brooks comes back to help defend as well. I need a whiteboard. Bottom line is, I just got to get a whiteboard to go through all these kinds.
I got one right here.
Well, so then why is it below? Yeah. Why is it below sea level?
Here we go. Look.
Okay.
All
right. So you got your marker.
Yep.
All right. So lay out a 4-3-3.
All right. Here we go.
All right. So lay out a 4-3-3. Caleb, Luis, Noah. All right. So then that, and then, all right. So give me your 4-3-3. All right. So there we go. All right. So basically you're the left back, Caleb. If Caleb goes forward, then what that means is you end up.
Telling me I'm thumbs downing. No, I'm not thumbs downing anymore.
No. What was that?
I guess StreamYard did not like that. The StreamYard was like, "No, I'm good.
What was that? I've never seen that before." So Caleb goes forward, and so that means to me that your 6 drops down and helps out straight. Like, the 6 drops down. Your left center back rolls over, and it almost turns into a left back. Your 6 comes down, and then you keep your formational integrity is what I'm looking at here. So does that make sense to you?
That could also lead into, if that is a format we saw it in the Open Cup too, you could then bring in Dax to be kind of more of that second or that sixth defender that you need back there if you wanted to really have that stability in the back line.
What do you want to bet? No, what do you want to bet? And like I said, and I need to bring in the black helicopters here. And thank you for the whiteboard, by the way.
You're welcome.
Do you think? Release the hounds is what he said.
The goals.
Yeah, release the hounds. But I mean, if you here's your black helicopter theory. What do you want to bet Dax is your 6 in Nashville?
Oh, that would be great.
That'd be amazing.
That would be great.
Get your black helicopters out, brother.
Oh, I'd love it. I'd love it.
And, hey, at this point, what do you have to lose anyway?
Well, but I mean, I'm looking at 4 matches in 2 weeks is what I'm looking at. And if you can make a statement tonight and get out of TQL, you get out of the phone booth, you get out of your internet provider with a point or more, then once again, you've got to turn around. And this is where the physios come into play like nobody's business. This is where there's going to be constant monitoring, because after tonight, you get home, it's rest and regen on a Thursday, it's a little bit of prep, and then Friday, you're back on a plane or you're doing whatever to get up to Nashville, the time machine, because I think it would take like 58 minutes, and you get there two minutes ahead of the hour, like Marvin Barnes. I ain't stepping in no time machine. But I think that once again, this is why you've brought in somebody like a Dax McCarty to be a part of things either tonight or on the weekend and in Open Cup against Charleston. I mean, this is where and the return of Stian, and I think Derek is what was the word on Derek? Another couple of weeks. Do we know?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a weird one, because I think they said 4 to 6 weeks, or I can't remember what they said originally, but that was back at the beginning of April. And I think maybe he's had a little bit of a regression or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was anything official. We'll see if I can find out. But yeah, it's taken longer, I think, than it should have.
Well, but I mean, the body responds how the body responds.
Yeah.
I also think that having Williams back is going to be huge. I really do. I think the type of leader that he is on the pitch, it's nice to have someone who can delegate, but also can like just be that force.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to be huge when he gets to come back and he gets to be back there, because you have Brad who's in the goal and he's very vocal and he's a very good leader.
I've never known that.
But you also have Williams who can kind of do a mix of both. And I also think he's just a really good facilitator in everything that he does. And so I think getting him back is going to be huge for this side too.
Yeah. And speaking of Dax as well, Atlanta fans maybe haven't seen it as much, but I think if you paid attention in the Charlotte game, in the Open Cup game, you see one thing about Dax is his discipline, especially his positional discipline, but his also ability to orchestrate. And man, I love watching a defensive midfielder that can orchestrate the rest of the team.
Oh yeah,
it makes me so happy.
Because Fifth Third obviously is a stadium that's very, very intimate. You can hear basically everything that is going on the pitch.
Yes.
Everything that is going on. And I remember hearing Dax when he came in, he was immediately like trying to like push people forward, getting things back. Like he's a very good thing. And I think that's why in this weird week where you have so many matches coming up and you have a player like Dax, I would not be shocked if he gets the start in Nashville. I wouldn't be shocked. I also kind of expect it. Because, I mean, why wouldn't you? You have someone who is that leader in the midfield who also can help facilitate things and keep it going. And I mean, also, too, I mean, I'm not saying it's a cool, like, little homecoming, but I mean, come on. You got to have Dax somewhat involved against Nashville.
It's psychological warfare.
Maddie's going for irony here, yeah.
I'm saying also, if that's the case, I'm calling it, Dax gets a goal in Nashville.
Wow.
That would be something.
You've gone full hanging.
You all know if it happens, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Oh,
I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, the press box at Geodis is not open air, so you would be stuck behind plexi.
Oh gosh, you're so right.
With whatever response you would have. Dell, I'm going to say this. Dell's excited to see Geodis get parking. I mean, literally get a parking pass before you go. Get that locked down. I'm not kidding. Because parking at Geodis is literally like trying to find the treasure in the Goonies movie. I mean, honestly, it is that much of a prime thing. That literally it is like trying to pan for gold in the 19th century, trying to find a decent parking space at Geodis if you don't have one walking in to your drive.
Or take an Uber. Screw all the parking. Just take the Uber.
Yes.
I should have parking. Theoretically.
You still have to walk like a mile to get to the stadium.
Well, but I will say this. One of the cool things about it for media is that they put you over at the Speedway to park.
Oh, yeah.
And to be able to park in pit lane on a quarter-mile asphalt oval, that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
I've done that on multiple occasions, and it's pretty cool. You sit there and you park in pit road, and you look up and you just see the stands for the Nashville Speedway, and it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. Very, very nice.
Isn't it crazy how much of an angle it is? You know, you're sitting there and you're like, man, the cars actually drive on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing is like some folks who park inside in the infield at Nashville Speedway on their way out the door because they know that traffic is ish. They'll take a couple of laps on that on that Speedway track to figure out what's going on. What's going on at Scarves and Spikes? Are you making the roadie?
I'm not. So today, actually, so we've this is birthday month. This is birthday month for my family. So
combined with car, yikes. Okay.
Yeah. So we actually went out to Birmingham. We were right next door to the stadium where they have the preseason match.
Yeah. See, now that's the thing. That's what you do when you go to Birmingham is you stay at the Hyatt or the Sheraton right there in the BJCC complex.
Yep.
And you walk to Protective. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. So and it was all right there.
You were in Birmingham. Did you get the chance to see Jay Heaps at all? Or no?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Listen,
I'm assuming that means that the kit has still not arrived.
The lady
it has not, Tyler.
And neither has the new one, as a matter of fact. So the two new ones have not shown up on Madden.
0 for 2. No, I did not see Jay. We went out there to see my oldest son. I think I said this last week. He's turning 16.
Wow.
Today is his actual birthday.
Wow.
So we went out to Birmingham. We saw his favorite comedian, which is Nate Bargatze.
Okay.
Good guy. Mm-hmm. And so, but today's his actual birthday. So we're just going to do some stuff around here. And then my birthday is in 6 days on the 21st. So we also have a baby shower that we have to go to on the day of the Nashville game. So we just have, unfortunately, too much stuff going on.
Wow.
But I will be in Charleston for the Open Cup game.
Okay. Just checking. All right. So we see how this goes. You front load everything so you can go to Charleston. I see how
Yeah. Got to get it out of the way.
Yes. At ATL Pilgrim, at Scarves and Spikes. Tyler, as always, Dell.
Not quite 16, Dell. A little bit older than that.
Wow. That's where we are. At ATL Pilgrim, at Scarves, the letter N, Spikes. Tyler, as always, it's great to have you kicking off our Wall Pass Wednesday, whether we're talking about Beef O'Brady's, Chili's, Red Lobster, or anything going on with Atlanta United. It's going to be a very, very busy 2 weeks, my friend. We'll catch up with you after your birthday, and we can find out what happened to you as you turn 17. So,
yes.
Yeah. So be good, my friend. We'll see you soon.
Keeping it young. See y'all.